on Twitter the other day, and I saw
Do you have the feed up or no?
the feed. What feed?
The feed from the Twitter Vagina Talk.
I don't have it like readily available. Did I say I don't see? We communicate and we send all this stuff to each other, and then we're supposed to put it together and have it ready and organized. But
Brandon is a trick ass hoe.
I'm a little bit of a piece of trash. What's about that happens?
Little trash box.
Little king trash.
We're live. We're
We
fucking
are,
live. We're talking C-sections. Boom. Hey. Childbirth and all things vagina.
All things vagina. So wait. So we're gonna start with Stinging Clue?
The hatch.
The hatch. Oh,
Yeah.
Judge Hatch.
Yeah,
Okay,
Judge Hatch.
okay. Well, since we're talking.
Kelsey. That's Kelsey from Stage Love, right?
Kelsey, did you work with Kelsey?
Yeah, so she went to Costa Rica?
I don't know if it's Costa Rica, but I think that is the right.
South America.
Actually, I know.
Kelsey, hey,
Wait. I know two Kelsey McIntoshes, so I'm not sure which Kelsey McIntosh that is.
That might not
and they spell their names very differently. No,
that one looks wrong.
if that's Kelsey McIntosh, I went to high school with that fake.
Oh,
But hey, girl, hey.
I'm sorry. Oopsies. Anyway, hey guys. Okay, so childbirth and everything, all things vagina. So we're gonna start out with. Okay, tell the story of why we started talking about this.
Okay, so first thing happened, I was on Facebook and I saw what are the Twitter things called when there's the endless scrolling, not feeds, but
Threads.
the thread. Yes, the Twitter threads. I'm a grandpa, you guys. I'm sorry.
Thread.
So there was a Twitter thread, and basically the woman was talking about how sometimes her vagina doesn't smell good, right? Sometimes it actually stinks, right?
Her vagina be stinky.
Stinky, but it
I never heard of that.
a bunch of women went on to say this is true for me. This is true for me. Like there's times where it smells like who done it and why. Trans women jumping in about it being funk. Like I feel like we talk about ball funk in a very regular, normalized way.
Okay, well you're a man and you run in man circles. But
a majority of my friends are
women,
females.
Okay, I know, but I'm just saying you're talking about ball funk. Us women talk about all things vagina all the time with each other. Well, mostly my friends.
So do you so that's the first thing I want to ask anybody watching this. You and your guys, your females, I guess. Do you and your lady friends talk about, my pussy smell crazy today? Like, is that something that you guys
we
do,
call
or
it
is
vaginas. Thank you, Chrissy. Yeah, we don't say the P word.
Oh, I don't know. I've heard a lot of things.
My
Cats,
pussy.
nooks and crannies. I don't know what you want to call it
that's
today.
Cute. Right. We talk about it all the time. Amen. Yes.
But the thing about the conversation.
I love Monica.
The thing about the conversation.
Did you tell her we don't live?
I did tell her we were going
Monica!
Yeah. It's not a very normalized conversation. I feel like ball funk.
Hey, Bookie.
I feel like you can talk about ball funk with anybody. I feel like stinky man junk, stinky men is a normal conversation to have, but stinky women is not a conversation that's normal.
Well, I think that is because of the male perception, how they like to keep their women like in this pretty little box, and like lots of men are like, I don't like my lady's pooping. My lady don't poop, she don't fart. Like
yes.
That's crazy. So yeah, I think men don't, but it's to the point where men, I believe, that are even afraid to have conversations with their ladies about their vaginas being a little bit, having a smell, because it's out of the box, pretty little perfect princess queen woman. So. Let's start normalizing some of this.
I think we have. So I'll tell a story real quick. And,
okay.
I'm
nervous.
It's about to be a doozy. So back when I was in high school,
okay,
I messed around with this girl, and I what is it called when little finger, I was trying not to say fingering and finger banging, but I was trying to
jilling. Oh well, jilling is like when a woman does it to herself.
Okay, so I wasn't jilling,
okay,
but I was
playing around with her vagina.
Flicking the bean, going in there, right?
Inside,
right?
Okay.
And I pulled it out, and I got a whiff, and it wasn't just like a whiff; it was like a whiff.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to tell her. So I ended up telling her friends and had her friends tell her.
Oh wow, that's aggressive.
Is it? So now I want to know, should I have not said anything? Should I have just kept it to myself?
I don't think people are vocal about it. Sorry, I don't mean to cut your story off.
No.
I don't think that people are vocal about it, but you can tell from their body language with men and women, you always smell yourself first. Amen!
Absolutely.
You touched the moon cat.
But you know, I've dabbled. I've dabbled.
I agree. I agree 100% with what you say. I think that we always smell ourselves first. Like before we get to a point where we're actually with a man or with a woman, like we know where we're coming.
You get
we
that
know
crotch
how
whiff.
we're coming
Yeah.
to the table.
Ooh,
you know?
That's funky. That's a funk. I don't want to share that.
You should have not told her friends. That's fucked up. I agree.
Well, so okay.
But how old were you?
I was like 17.
I do get passes
16,
for age
like,
at certain times.
I was
and
a
I think
kid.
that you didn't know how to properly address the situation, and you were very young, and obviously you didn't have the tools of communication that were supposed to be taught to you.
I didn't know. I like. Am
So
I supposed to be
you-
like, hey, ma'am, you're.
What do you mean,
Yeah.
hey man? Was she your lady?
No, she was just this girl that I was messing around with.
Okay, so you wanted to play her out.
I
There's a
did.
way to handle every situation, and I love ya, but that could have been handled.
I mean,
really?
probably, but I mean, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't, you know, we weren't dating. I didn't want to be out here, you know, going with other guys, and they being like, "Oh, girl."
But if you didn't want her, you should have told her.
I mean, but
Because honestly, okay, agree with me here, people. I mean, if you disagree, obviously do that too. But I think that us women, we literally want and probably crave for men to be more honest with us at times when they weren't. Like,
Okay.
it's one thing, because we talk girl chat all fucking day. So the sun goes up, sun goes down, we do girl talk all day. But I think when a man, we're dealing with men, whether it be platonic or sexual, we want them to be honest as our friends are with us about shit.
I mean,
And like you probably could have like really, I'm not trying to bash you here.
I'm getting now. I don't need to do that no more. Damn, girl.
But I think that you being honest with her probably would have like really like helped her out in some way, because I think that men are not very open with women all the time. And
well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel like because the way we're taught about what a vagina is and how most women speak about their vaginas in front of us is this idea that it all smells like rose petals and flowers and a fresh, you know, spring rain.
I don't know.
Like,
Well, that's upsetting that, you know, all these products and all these avenues have put this out there as it pertains to vagina smells, but it's an unfair expectation, especially for young girls, you know, because I was about to tell a story, but I don't want to be going out there. But like, I think that it's unfair, especially for growing girls, you know, to be like, my vagina smells a little off, or not even my vagina smells off. My vagina has a smell, okay? My vagina is fuming up, you know, and I think that it's not cool. It's not a fair expectation to put on someone who has a growing body and doesn't understand the difference. Like, my body is starting to have something different that I never experienced. And the commercial shows me about flowers walking through the field and summer rains and different types of mist, and mine doesn't smell like that. So, yes.
and I will say in my defense, I had smelled other vaginas, so there's a lot of
My girlfriend from the Vagina Monologue, she goes, I don't want my vagina to smell like rain. It's like a line from one of the monologues.
And I mean, I think it's fine because I think the natural smell of a vagina is fine, not to put too much of my entire life out here, everywhere.
I know, Brandon, because, you know, I just feel like you now coming out with all this vagina stuff when you're, like, openly, you know.
Incredibly gay.
I just feel like very weird about this. But, I mean, it adds layers of depth to this conversation.
But also, like, as a young teenage boy, like, you know, navigating his sexuality, how do you figure out what you're supposed to say if this is what you're taught? How do you address that? How do you deal with that? So it's like, I mean, I feel like it's an important conversation to have because I feel like it's a conversation that women are having.
Okay, so it's difficult to come from a man, but your friend should tell you. And honestly, though,
can't you smell yourself? Absolutely.
the vag is the only body part that naturally cleanses itself.
I agree with that. And see, I appreciate you for saying that, Rachel, because I felt like maybe as a, 16-year-old girl, you wouldn't want to hear that from this boy that you're messing around with, that your vagina smells crazy. Like,
I'm just telling you, I mean, like I said, anyone could disagree with me. I just feel that if men were a little bit more, had an open dialogue with us about our bodies and what goes on with us, and even if it is, your vagina smells a little off, like...
So you telling me when you were like, I don't know when you were sexually active, not to be, but if
never,
you were...
Never, nigga.
Virgin.
Mary. Myself. The fuck?
But when you first like started doing your do like as a young woman, you gonna tell me that when you first went down and you were like, ooh, that smelled crazy. You were like, not today. You were that much in your womanhood that the first time you smelled something crazy, you said no. And I'm just asking. I don't mean that like
It never happened like that, but I was very, very aware of my body smells.
Wait, not your body smells. I'm saying you've never hooked up with a guy and went down on him and be like, woo!
Not today.
This is rough, this is ragged, this is rancid. But
sure.
I might go through with this anyway, just for shit. You never did that, not once? Don't lie, because we're finding all these people.
Okay. With my own husband, maybe.
Okay, so you've done it. So you've done it.
But first of all, I wasn't 17, and
You just like this.
But I'm also like verbal. I'm very verbal, so I'm like, ooh, I can't hold back these things that come to me.
Oh,
so
no, I just let it slide.
slide.
The other reason we're having this conversation right now is once again the Twitter thread. I also saw somebody talking about Vagisil and saying Vagisil is a bunch of nonsense.
I don't agree with any Vagisil. I don't agree with any douching. I don't agree with any summer evening. I think that our bodies have a natural,
rebalance itself.
It balances itself out, and I because this is the thing for me. Like I have like major issues with things being proven to be bad for us, but still on the market for sale.
Okay.
So it's been proven for years now that women should not be douching, right?
Yes.
But I still see minimum 2 brands for sale at the drugstore. So.
Excuse me, y'all.
What's that?
I mean, I don't know. I just always assumed that you needed Summer's Eve to clean it all out and have it flowing naturally and delightful and flowery.
It cleans its own motherfucking self out and flowers naturally.
Well, you learn that as you grow up.
You learn that as
some
you
of
grow.
us, some of us, but everybody don't know that.
Well, there's still women douching.
That is very true.
We should have pulled up the fucking stats for the douche sales tonight.
Oh, I pulled up none of those.
The douche stock.
I don't know. I know nothing about douching statistics.
Soap and water, amen. But not actually putting your fingers in your vagina with the soap. Is pH balanced. Okay, Summer's Eve is pH balanced.
I've heard a lot of people speak out against using it, and not just like supernatural people. So, I mean, once again, I don't have a vagina, so I don't like judge. But I'm just trying to be a part of the conversation so I can learn and be a part of the conversation.
Remind them about why you're a part of the conversation because this is a beautiful message.
Well, when talking into that, I was like, I mean, I may not have a vagina, but there's a strong possibility that I'll be raising a child, with another man, and I can't always call an auntie to say like, well, she's dealing with this. How do we fix this? How do we address this? Like, I need to be able to say, you need to clean out your nooks and crannies this way. If this smells, this is natural. This isn't natural, or like, this is why we need to go to the doctor.
That's right here. Okay, the vagina is an internal organ, so the best remedy for any issues is diet.
Not any issues.
Yes, of course.
Issues of scent sometimes.
Yes. Obviously, not any issues. But yes, diet and healthy living and exercise is always the best way to have any kind of balance, healthy insides. And the vagina's on the inside.
So, make sure your pH balance is right. Make sure you have your right level of vaginal discharge, which you've had your vagina.
I think that we all know your menstrual cleanses you out. Oh.
I don't know.
Yes, it does cleanse you out, and that is also a main source of vaginal odors as well.
That doesn't solve every problem a vagina may have, though. Like in my mind, when you said, "Oh, what's the purpose of a douche?" It's like, well, maybe some female has STD or is living with some type of illness that her body isn't doing what it needs to do to properly heal or create a freshly scented vagina. Maybe while getting over a UTI, it doesn't smell so fresh, and your body isn't able to, clean it out. So maybe that would be the demand of that in any instance.
The poon cat needs some air, because that can change. I think this is a follow up to it being pH balanced, because that can change or throw things off. But if you use Summer's Eve, it should be unscented. No douching, that's not needed, and plenty of water. People don't drink enough water. Period.
Point blank.
Drink
more water.
And for any men out there, that kind of goes for you too.
Oh, facts.
You know what I mean? Drink some more water and
That's all
help
facts.
get that semen taste and smell together. Get a little less crazy and intense.
All things vagina and add a little penis.
Oh, just a little penis.
Little penis.
Yes.
Diet. Healthy living is. But I think we all know that, like you were referencing as it pertains to like people having STDs or some other kind of thing. Those are for the doctor now.
Mm-hmm.
If you're healthy, everything's fine, and something is off, that means probably something's off. So we shouldn't take this into our own hands. There's no douching or magical summer's eve that's going to really wash away the smell of a UTI or vaginitis. You just really got to go to the doctor for that, for sure. No cutting corners.
Hold on.
This my Instagram is hopping something.
Random vag questions. Do you think men are turned off or on by the color of the wetness? There's like a whole webpage on porn sites just for cream pies, and then it comes out clear like water.
Wait. Say that again.
Okay. Do you think men are turned off or on by the color of the wetness? There's like whole web pages on porn sites just for cream pies, and then it comes out clear like water.
What comes out clear like water?
Yeah, I was not sure.
Like the
semen does.
Well, not
but,
semen because women don't have semen, but whatever women ejaculate, like when they
it doesn't always come out clear like water because there's
well, that's
also.
what she's saying. She's saying there's like two different.
And then it comes out clear like.
Like
That's
it's
why
both.
she-
It's
right.
both. Like
it can be one or the other.
It can be one or the other.
That's what
Yes. The women cream differently.
Right. I
Right.
think.
So she's asking like what are most men like attracted to?
Okay, men.
What makes it gushy? Oh wow. When you get wet, what makes it gushy? Well, is that part of the natural vaginal discharge and when a female is getting wet, like the lubricant itself?
That is part of the natural discharge.
Yes. So I mean, I guess it really depends on, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to act like I know what makes it creamy and not
Maybe
creamy.
the state of arousal.
Maybe that's probably a good chance.
I like that. I guess the state of the arousal, but also maybe it's every woman creams differently.
But also, couldn't it be like the time of the month for the woman?
Like if you're closer
or farther away from your period, would that in some way make a difference?
It may.
And wetness?
Color.
Okay.
Definitely color and smell.
Probiotics help with chronic BV and yeast infections. Gut health is important. What's BV? I don't know what that is. Did you say my breath stinks?
No, your breath is okay.
Oh, real nasty and rude. Rude. I don't know. That was
female ejaculation is difficulty than a natural lubricant. Is different. Bacterial vaginosis. Yeah.
Oh, bacteria. That's what BV is. Okay.
Yes.
Where I had no idea.
Well, we are together now. Second on the gut health. Very important. Yes. Okay. Woo! This is getting really hot and heavy here. I didn't think we were going to be going on these levels.
Word.
Yeah. Okay. So there's natural levels of smells. And there's natural levels of discharge. When in doubt, go see the motherfucking doctor.
Don't rely on Summer's Eve to be your solution to the problem.
Not. So that's how we got to this topic, right? The thread, the Twitter thread that Brandon found and showed me about women talking about their vagina smelling.
Mm-hmm.
But just to piggyback off of Monday's live, where we started talking a lot about like doulas and black women during childbirth. We want to touch a little bit back on that.
Yeah. I mean, we figured we'd have a little fun and be a little serious at the same time, blah, blah, blah.
Not blah, blah, blah.
Not blah, blah, blah. Not blah, blah, blah.
It's time to get serious.
Yeah, it's up. It says it's up. I don't know. Wait.
Okay, so your Instagram live is on. So black women dying during childbirth.
Sorry to stop. I know we just said that, but apparently bacterial vaginosis can cause creaminess. Did not know that, and look at this. So much knowledge just bouncing across the screen right now. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Most importantly, Well, this is the whole thing. Like, the whole purpose of the live, the whole purpose of the show is to have conversation. So it's not to just be me on the camera or me and Brandon time, causing fucking rackets all over. It's about having conversations that should be had. So
and hopefully everybody learned a little something.
I learned some stuff. And
each one teach one. What's the saying for Precious?
Each one. I don't know about the Precious. I started watching Precious in your house. I never finished that devil
We talked
movie.
about it in poverty porn.
Oh my god. Okay, that's beyond the.
That's not what we're not talking about Precious right now.
Not.
That's not what we're here for.
Okay, so black women dying during childbirth. So black women are 3 times more likely than white women to die from pregnancy-related causes, per the CDC. And the problem mainly is that they aren't really narrowing down on the specifics about they aren't fully looking into it and only hypothesizing as it pertains to what the what? You want it? Sorry, that was the producer.
He's like, get it together.
I call him Spike Duvernay. So that was the most shocking thing that I found through my research, was that it was really more just like a bunch of hypotheticals, and just basically what it was boiling down to was what they were trying to make it seem as was that it was women's hearsay. Like, this is what the women are saying, that black women feel that we are, not being listened to. Black women feel like no one cares about us when we're at the hospital, versus actual facts and statistics as it pertains to disorders and actual medical reasons why these women are passing away.
And the reality of it is, it doesn't matter who you know, who you're related to, or what type of fame or money you have. Doctors are still not listening to black women.
Mm-hmm.
They're still telling them that you have no idea what you're talking about. You're not a priority. You're not fine.
Okay. One other thing that I read was that they were trying to make a relation to the hospitals in which the women were going to, that these hospitals had already numerous cases of having issues with delivering births and deaths at the hospital, whereas white and Latino women were not going to these hospitals. It was honestly like a puzzle of weird fuckery that I just felt like was basically them saying that no one cares about black women.
So this one says, they were talking about black women in childbirth on WNYC today. I'm currently about to give birth, and yes, I agree. Being able to choose the type of birth you want is limited. They also push for more cesarean sections. We have a nurse here. Woo woo.
Being a nurse, I've personally seen doctors under medicated for pain.
So like doctors are actively ignoring the pain of patients.
Do you believe that it's to actually preserve anything or to actually help the to actually help the mother as it pertains to like drugging up a woman who's about to give birth and potentially hurting her unborn child? Or do you think this is an actual thing where black women feel no pain? Like, where are we at with that? Because I wouldn't know, I'll answer that.
Yeah, she's here.
I want an answer on that.
I would just say prime example, most notable and most recent would be Serena Williams and her experience in giving birth, and how she claims how her doctor failed to actually listen to her signs of pain, and how she literally was like losing blood and almost lost her life, like just trying to have her baby, simply because her doctor did not listen to her. So if anyone knows about that story, I haven't had a chance to check it out, you should really read up on it.
On Serena Williams,
right? Think about it. She's a famous, high-profile, very rich black woman, and even still, with all the money and the best doctors in the world, her being a black woman, prevented her doctors from seeing how she truly felt.
Okay, so our nurse on the line is saying that, no, this sounds messed up, but if a white woman says ow, drip immediately. With the black woman, as much as they play us, they think we're strong enough to handle pain, Tylenol instead of narcotics.
There's always this idea that you as a, not always, but very often, I've heard many stories where, you know, doctors often say, oh, you just want to just try to
she's
get
talking
high.
about the hatch.
The hatch? Yep. We actually,
Christina, she's
Charles,
always on top of it.
all up in there, Christina. So with Charles Johnson IV, the son of Judge Hatchett, a television judge. I don't know if her show is still on, but it used to be on. His wife, Kira Johnson, bled for 7 hours. Okay, he begged all of the doctors for a CT scan, and what they said to him is you are not a priority. You guys are not a priority. So she sat there for 7 hours and she bled to death. And I believe, I think it's this Friday. Congress is supposed to vote to pass the Preventing of the Maternal Death Act, which is to save more Black women during birth. Prepartum, during birth, and after birth. So it's a real problem, and it's not just this imaginary thing that we think about. I think a lot of people.
I don't think of it as an imaginary thing.
Yes, but you know, people will say like, "Oh, well, yeah, you say that, but you know, are you guys being a little dramatic? Are you just looking a little too deep in it?" Like these are the numbers, and I know a lot of people know about it, but we all need to be talking about it. We all need to be upset. We all need to be trying to figure out how to change this and how to fix this.
Yeah, I agree. So 13 per 100,000 white women died, whereas 44 Black women per 100,000 as when giving life, when having birthing children. It's crazy for me because I hate to be that person who's like, duh, you know, like they don't give a fuck about us.
Word.
But like that's like an unpopular kind of conversation. So like
I think
it's interesting that the United States, one of among the wealthy countries, is having an increase in the rates of women dying during childbirth, where other wealthy countries have lowered their numbers significantly.
And I mean, honestly, to be a little bit of one of those people, like you said, say that they don't care about us. When you think about African American women being the most educated group of people in this country, and it's a number that's consistently growing, what does that say about the people that are taking care of you and what they're trying to do to you? You understand what I'm saying? You have all of these educated women who are making leaps and bounds in society, and they're having children, and these women are dying. And once again, this is not an issue of being impoverished and not having money and not having...
But that was, in 2 of the articles that I read today, that was the claim that they were trying to make.
That's the implication.
They noted that was the conversation that swirled around this topic for a long time, but then they also, like I said, they wanted to bring up the fact that these women are going to these hospitals.
And it's not just that. When celebrities are saying the same thing, rich Black women are saying the same thing. Serena Williams, you know what I mean, is saying that doctors told her, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's a problem. There's a systemic problem, and we really have to get through it and do better.
But what is the fucking like? What's this thing that we need to put in place as it pertains to protecting Black women who want to still birth at the hospital?
Well, first I'll say, you still have time to call Congress, right? Call your local representative and tell them you want them to pass the Preventing Maternal Death Act. Okay, if you want to change something, that's all you have to do. Just jump out. It'll take you, 2 or 3 minutes. Google and find your
something
representative.
about Serena. This is one of my other nurse friends. Oh wait, we fucking missed a lot of things. I tried to put you on my TV, but it says you're not live. Okay. Serena Williams had a good C-section. She had complications after due to blood clots. She was on blood thinners and had to stop to heal her surgical wound. I don't know. That's what she must know more. I don't know. But that's an explanation as it pertains.
It was still a postpartum.
The issue is being in the hospital, right?
She's all
complaining about
you're
something.
a nurse. I feel like, what's your experience? I mean, you don't live up here in New York anymore, but you moved down to the Carolinas. I feel like, what's your experience in the hospitals as it pertains to the treatment of Black, Latino women, comparative, comparison to white women?
Which we can get back to that because we got to wait for this.
All of that. I try staying woke. Thanks, LOL. I love that even in a vag talk there's politics.
I mean, but it is. The vagina's super political. Having a vagina is political.
Goes back to random acts of flyness when it just popped into my head when the scene where the woman had gotten raped and she went to go see Whoopi, and it was basically like, give up your vagina now. Like, this vagina no longer belongs to you. Like, the vagina is a very controversial thing. I feel like even going to the fact where men think that they own their woman's vaginas. Like,
but also that it may not need to rest or give it some time to do its thing. Like, it should just be ready to go boom, 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 boom. Like, I mean, that's a conversation about respect of women and taking care of women and respecting women. And I think that's a cultural shift that we really need to focus on.
But back, like you said, it's still time to go to Congress, right?
Yes. Call your local representative. Tell them you want this bill passed. It matters to you. Save a life. What is she saying? No, we don't have anything.
No response yet on that. I really want to know.
It's okay, girl.
No, I just really want to know.
I'm very excited. It's probably,
because
I
love this insight over here from my other Instagram, Queen Mummy, about an actual eyewitness nurse, you know.
We need more color in the medical field. It's eye for eye. My wife is white and I'm beautiful dark. Long to short, I was judged as I raped her. My first baby in the hospital was a hellhole. Till they asked and got the whole story. People judge way too much. Okay, so what he's saying is that his wife is lily white and he's black, and they assume that he raped her for their child.
Where is he from?
Where do you live? I live in Utah. Are you still in Utah?
That's aggressive.
But that's
even better than a bill passed are black doctors taking care of black patients. Agree. Type of insurance plays a factor too. Yeah.
And I mean, I would say I don't know how many people. I know a lot of black female doctors, so it is definitely something that is changing. I can probably name 3 or 4 black female doctors off the back of my hand right now. So it's dope. It is changing. It is advancing. You know, see, he's in Utah, so you know that
they get treated somewhat the same depending on the patient's insurance factors or previous treatments. So, okay. So, in your opinion, would you say it's less of a race issue and more of an insurance issue?
Doctors are crooks. I agree with that statement.
I'd be having real difficulty with the hospitals.
I think it's important to back up this man and do this. But it's also important to kind of step out and have an idea about some of the more common, risks that you deal with. Some of, what are they called? Pregnancy diseases or whatever you would call them. Pregnancy disorders.
So like the preeclampsia and endometriosis. It's on its own.
That's what I was about to say. It's its own thing, but it's still important to the conversation because it's still about women's health and women not being listened to. Actually, let's talk about endometriosis first, real quick, because I think it's really important to talk about it because so many women deal with this, and they deal with the pain that comes along with it, and they don't.
Okay, it's race and what is this?
It's race.
Hold on, there was some room here. Okay, just because they're getting these checked out, just like
they prescribe certain medicines, no matter bad.
Just as they're getting checked, as can I. However, hospitals are not in the business of healing people, meaning if they're on Medicaid and are frequent flyers, looking for pain meds, etc.
But let me comment on that statement real quick. People saying that people are on Medicaid and they're trying to get high. There are a lot of people who are in pain who are actively ignored. Okay, I literally have
But doctors and whatever the case, they have to be.
I get that. But there are also times where people have literally said, "I am in pain. I've been in pain. Oh, you just want drugs. You just want drugs." No, I want you to run tests and do the work to figure out.
Nurse as well.
To figure out what's wrong with me. Don't just tell me that my pain isn't real. I'm just trying to get high.
For my first child, I was 3 days in the hospital before they realized my water bag was intact, and the whole time I was like, I don't feel right. I don't think I was ready. I was 18.
Yes, they prescribe based on kickbacks. That's very true. It's race and insurance and a myriad of factors. I mean, I think part of the thing that we're trying to talk about right now, because there are a lot of factors, but I think we want to really focus on that, like, women's health is kind of pushed aside in general, even more so for women of color.
Women are pushed to the back in general.
In general.
Period.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. Co-sign that 100%.
But we're talking specifically today about childbirth and all things vagina. But yeah, basically women being ignored when... Basically women being ignored when they're in positions where they need help from medical professionals.
Yes,
and medical professionals are turning them away. I've seen so many cases in the emergency department, and we have seen people come in every week for the same problems, but if we didn't give them the certain meds, they would cause trouble.
And that's every race.
Society, agreed. Yeah.
And I agree that's every race.
I agree 100%. I think that,
But wait, let me just say this real quick. When a young black man comes into the hospital and he says, I'm having chest pains, right? And you go to a hospital and the doctors say, no, you just want drugs. And you go to another hospital and they say, we're willing to run a test. And it turns out you have a blood clot. You understand what I'm saying? It's a problem.
White men, white women are at the top of the pecking order.
That's very true. I don't disagree with that, but this is why we have these conversations. This is why we need to be as steadfast in talking about these things. I feel like, once again, because we didn't really get into endometriosis, but do you want to just read it and go over what it is? Because I feel like people heard it but don't really know what it is.
Endometriosis is a disorder where tissue that normally lines the inside of the uterus, endometrium grows outside of your uterus. Some of the things, it has painful periods, pain while intercourse, pain while bowel movements or urination, excessive bleeding, and infertility.
So I just want to talk about that really quickly because
sure,
I feel like endometriosis is something that comes to mind so often because so many women, I don't know how many stories you've heard, but I feel like I've heard a lot of stories of women with endometriosis. Like even as young women in high school going through this, trying to figure out why their period is like this, why when they're having sex it has pain, they're having pain, and doctors are saying, oh, it's growing pains, it's just you grow, like, you know what I mean, it'll pass.
I think the problem with that is, I don't know whether, like, I guess going back to an insurance issue with, like, these very expensive tests that need to be run to check on people to make sure that they're okay. And if your insurance isn't good, maybe if you're black and your insurance ain't good, they're like, oh, let's try and brush this off. We'll see how you're feeling in a couple days.
But I like I said, I can't say that I feel like insurance is a factor. Yes, it absolutely has to be a factor, right? But we can't have all of these cases of people who have financial stability and are still going through this. You know what I mean? You can't just, and you said it before, we can't just try and push it off. Go ahead.
So, diet, which is, yes, very, very important. I think we're all going to agree across the board that having a good, healthy diet with less processed foods and obviously not heavy, meaty diet, find like protein substitutes will definitely help as it pertains to having overall health, better health. But some doctors are assholes, but do your research.
I was just about to say.
You about to say that? Some doctors are assholes, but do your research and you can find good ones, especially OBGYNs. They do say that. They so do that. We are literally eating poison plus an obscene amount of vaccination.
I'm not about to have that vaccination conversation right here. We're not about to do that. I'm not about to have a non-vaccine conversation. We don't have time for that. I have zero time for that, as there are multiple places where measles, mumps, and rubella are popping up because people aren't vaccinating their kids. Not the conversation today.
Do you think that's what you think that is about?
Oh, do you? Well,
all right. I'm not today then.
Okay, because you can tell me what you think it's about real quick. If you don't think it's about, people not being protected and it being a problem and growing, but
I don't know.
Another time to have this conversation.
Okay.
But eating healthy, I do agree with. Diet, I do agree with.
100%. But please, before our time runs down, because we're already at 41 minutes on the live, I want to talk about the fucking thing that's going to be put in place to help black women and any other woman that wants to be down. That's going to help be the buffer and protect black women who want to still have children in the hospital.
Okay. Are we talking about doulas and midwives?
We're talking about doulas!
And midwives.
and midwives. Wait, but your sister-in-law, right?
Yes, I don't think she's on here right now. She's a postpartum
doula, which I think is major important because I was reading a lot about that today, like how important that postpartum period is as it pertains to protecting women. You know, so
just to give you a quick little definition, so a doula is trained to provide advice, information, emotional support, and physical comfort before, during, and after pregnancy. And midwives do a lot of these same things, but they happen to be they have institutional qualifications.
No, don't get started on that. Haha. I will have to get into that one, and I'm at work. That's about the vaccinations. We're not doing that right now, right? Black owned and operated hospitals. I'm currently searching for a midwife. I'm a doula in training. Woo!
Oh yes, that's perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Oh, we love doulas.
So we are fans, and I think I know a lot of people who are pregnant, contemplating doing it, or in the process of doing it.
Highly accessible for white women. The first time I ever heard about doulas and midwife was through my black friend, so I'm not really sure about that. But everything is more accessible for white women and white men, as we've already established that they are at the higher end of the pecking order. Read this one down.
Oh, this is I don't know where a lot of the numbers come from, but there's two genders, male and female. Obviously, females have no problem with other females. I think the percentage come from the men's side. You have that pretty girl, ugly girl. I think that has a lot to do with these numbers and that we're seeing. Like I said, this is just my opinion, but I feel like it's all image. Everything is so materialized, and everything has to have value to an image. I could be a millionaire, go into a hospital, stinky, holy clothes, look like a meth head. Would I get the same help as I wanted to if I was dressed up as a millionaire? I think not. I think it would be totally different. That's my opinion. And I think it has a lot to do with more of women and the man taking care of these women and getting in that job position. That was a lot. There's a lot of information.
There was a lot in there.
I agree that obviously looks definitely play a role.
Is doula covered by insurance? How are they paid? Yes, it depends.
Some are paid by the patients. Yeah.
Ooh, I love the doula combo. How much do you think they are? Compensated. Makes a huge difference. Okay, first of all, how anyone is paid makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's across the board.
Straight up. All right, so basically, doulas, I believe, doulas are definitely noted to be number one protection for women in hospitals.
Yes.
I mean, everyone knows since from last episode who was here that I want to have my baby at home with my doula.
As long as you're having a low risk pregnancy.
And my team of midwives.
Right, the doula, the team of midwives, but they do so much from prenatal meds. To just general emotional support to, if you're, having morning sickness, this is what I can make you a natural remedy to help you not deal with your morning sickness. They are literally
coaches and hype men. I agree. And I think that, especially talking about how we believe or we know that Black women are being, not listened to, like you want that support. You want to be like, ow, and someone to be like, what's going on?
Wait, this feels weird right here. This is tender right here. This is normally what we deal with.
Or this is that. Someone who is trained in being patient and trained in listening.
And even if you don't have a home birth, you can still have a doula with you.
Yes.
You can still have a doula with you. So it's not like a mutually exclusive thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is once again why it's good to have another woman in the room who's trained, who will advocate for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Who will stand up for you and say, this is.
And who gives me meds like the hospital.
Well, she'll make sure you get the meds, but she'll make sure you don't bleed out after you're high on the meds. Okay.
I will be licensed through Long Island Doula Association. We focus more on low income families. Every client I get $600. I like that. I love that, especially people who have questions about how much doulas get paid. And I think that I love that it's focused on lower income families. So we're bringing the protection to people who can't afford health. Proper health protection, because you have to pay to live. That's just the fact. But yeah, so I mean, Is there anything else we want to talk about with this combo? Anything we want to round it out with?
I mean, obviously.
First of all, I just want to say thank you, oh my God, to the lovely fucking participation tonight. Yes! That just got me so fucking riled up. I watched a YouTube video the other day, and there was in labor for 30 hours, and said if she was in the hospital, they would have forced her to have a C-section.
That's very true.
Wow.
I mean, that's very true. They would be like, it's been too long. Let's just have a C-section. It's too dangerous. But I mean, I feel like dealing with a doula and a midwife, they're trained to say like, this is fine. Like, this is natural. Like, sometimes childbirth takes 36 hours to pop a baby out. I don't know. I've never had a baby, but you know.
Yeah. Oh God. So thank you. I work on labor and delivery too. Oh my God, I wish you were here for the whole conversation because we were really fucking getting into it as it pertaining to. Okay, quickly tell us how you feel Black women are treated.
Can you call in?
Okay, at Stony Brook Hospital, so you're all so right.
Can
Can you call it? Let me see if I can request her.
Yes. Let's see if
she may be at work, or she may be.
No, you at work. That's perfect. Do it in the hospital, so we know you real, girl. Oh, it's connected. She's jumping in.
Hello?
Oh,
hello.
Listen, my hair not done.
Not a single Black woman will show their face on the live. Not today. I'm not doing it.
They would because of liability laws.
Hold on, how do I can't really hear you guys.
Oh wait, my thing is Can you hear us
Is that
better now?
It's like really low.
Very low.
Very
Let's
low.
see.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm not sure.
If we talk really loud, is that better?
I mean, it's like I'm not trying to show my hair. This is why I can't really hear.
Okay. Because we're wrapping up the live though, but we were talking extensively about the treatment of Black women as in the hospital when they're giving birth, or period, point blank, and their cries for help being unanswered.
Listen. I've worked on labor and delivery at Stony Brook University Hospital for 5+ years now, and I've seen it all. So that's what when I say that y'all are so like right about this everything, like when it comes to minorities, not even Black people, just Spanish people, because I live on Long Island, so we have a lot of Spanish people and stuff. So I see how they treat them, how they how just the doctor, because being that I work on the unit, I get like both aspects, like the patient kind of aspect and listening to the doctors and the nurses and stuff and seeing how they talk amongst each other about patients. And it's just, it's crazy, but it's getting a lot better because we have a lot of Black midwives.
Wow. So you're saying that the midwives...
They're doing the doula, situation and everything now,
So you're saying that the midwife and the doula coming into play has been forcing change?
Yes, it is. Right now, I am, like I said, a doula in training, and I'm going. You have to do 108 volunteer hours on the unit before you can do anything.
Okay.
So it's like they're really trying to see how a doula can change the atmosphere of the unit.
Wow.
How they can. Just because it is a happy part of the hospital, but sometimes, it's a lot. If you do need support, you need people there. You need people that's going to tell you you don't need a C-section, because they're so quick to want to cut you. So quick.
Wow.
So quick.
Oh, Addie said she's going to hire you for her next birth. Addie, you having more kids? Sorry.
Oh, you pregnant again, girl? Have your baby, girl.
Baby, but more and more babies, the better, I guess.
Yeah, let her have a baby.
Jazz, we really appreciate you.
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
in, and you did not have to show your hair.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything that just happened.
No, I said we appreciate you for calling in and joining in the conversation. I think it's very important to have, the voices from people inside of the hospital. I want 4 babies. All right, so Jazz, you got your first client, girl. Let's get it. Keep it in the CI family all day.
For real, how we stick together.
That's right. Oh my God, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
We're gonna wrap up the live and see us next.
You guys.
Oh my God! Next Monday we'll be back live at 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Well, 10 to 10:15. So
10
you
to
know,
10:15.
be ready. Be ready. Be around that time. Be ready to go. Okay.
Oh God! All right. Have a good night.
Talk to you guys later.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Oh my God, that was so adorable.
That was wonderful.
First of all, so you heard it here first, from someone who works in labor and delivery saying that midwives and doulas are changing the atmosphere of the hospital. Get you one, figure it out, do research. Jasmine just said that she is working with an organization that works with lower income families, and she is paid only $600 per client.
Would you guys be comfortable with a male midwife?
There are male midwives.
Would you be comfortable? That's
I
just
don't
a general
think that
question.
I would feel comfortable with a male midwife simply because I don't feel like he would necessarily understand me because I'm a woman. But that's a little sexist, and that's okay.
That's a little.
And I can be sexist if I want to.
I mean, that's a little excessive, I think, though, to say that he wouldn't know. I mean, I feel like experience and if you really care about the job.
Okay, here we are.
Just don't cut me off. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so back to the C-section thing though. Another nurse is saying that they do the C-section because of liability issues, liability laws. Okay. They expect us to have.
Just want to say, not every doula and midwife that's a woman is a mom, so she may not have the experience.
That's very, very.
Or understand you as well. So having.
Whoa! Wow.
You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
just the same as having a man doula / midwife.
Okay.
Anthony been trying to fight me all day, y'all.
No, you've been
all
trying
day,
to fight
all
me.
day. She's been trying to beat my ass. I just don't understand.
This is my neighbor.
Maybe. About to have this. You must understand that the don't do it. Don't hit me in front of all these people.
Oh my God. Would you guys become a woman? Is that possible? Yes. Okay. All right. More. All right, let's see this and let's wrap this up because my fucking YouTube live is gonna die. Book knowledge only goes but so far. Okay, there we are with that, supporting your theory. I agree. Would you be comfortable with a doula that never gave birth herself? But she knows what cramps feel like. She knows how to explain what muscles to contract. It's better to labor at home as much as possible before you go to the hospital because they do have laws to abide by.
Okay. That's interesting.
Good night, Chrissy.
Thank you for watching, Chrissy.
Thank you for always being like.
But I think that's so dope. Sorry to cut you off, but I think that's so dope to know that because I feel like a lot of women are like, okay, my water's broke. I feel some contractions. I'm out. And then they're put into this position where now they have to do it. They've been there, and now they have to have the.
Because the doctors, it's now the doctor, the hospital control.
Yes.
Those are the laws that they have to abide by per Christina as well as Jasmine. So.
Oh, it says it is. I don't know what that was too. But I'm sure it is. I did that with my first. Labor at home. Word.
Let's all labor at home.
Low risk.
You always
Right? You always have to throw out the low risk.
Yes. If you can do it.
Yes.
So,
but wait.
What do you want to say?
Subscribe to YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat.
Well, all of yours is the same.
All of mine are the same, okay?
Frodo Reed 2030. Follow him on all social media platforms. You can find me, Bitch Got a Couch, on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and Twitter. All the same name. Yes, do it, subscribe, and please come back on Monday to join us for a conversation. We'll definitely let you know where it is. We're going to drop a video Sunday night, Monday morning, and then we'll talk about whatever we have in that video.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about what I think we're going to talk about.
You think we're going to talk about Sunday?
I think we're going to talk something good. Let's talk good.
Okay, so we're going to start closing down the lives, guys. Yes. Thank you so much.
Are we going to play a little song?
We're going to do some. Oh my God, where's my live? Where's my.
You threw it away.
Where the fuck is the live?
Is it on the Google?
I have to turn off this Instagram.
To play the
music. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you for watching.
Ow.
I'm trying to wait for the live music. I want the background music to go in.
Right. And I gotta end that YouTube live right now. There's our live. Bye, guys.